Coming up next, do you ever find yourself needing a short rest or a break from some of the most overplayed songs of the 80s? Well, I got your remedy today with 5 classic hidden gems, and today I have all 5 artists behind these songs here to tell the stories, including a legendary singer-songwriter who wrote a load of classics for different artists, legendary artists. We just lost him. Even though the media virtually ignored it. But unfortunately, I was able to talk to him about his massive solo hit, and it sounded so much like another legend that DJs mistook him for that icon, and Riley announced the song and the artist on air, leading many to get to the record store, and the record store clerks were confused because they didn't know what they were talking about. Another were an icon who had the most hits of the decade with his duo partner, but he found enough time to put out a solo song that became a huge hit. And another guy who's the only singer in history to have a top 10 hit with 4 different groups, including today's hit that was supposed to be cut by another band. But the guy who wrote the music hated the lyrics, so it fell to the guy today. They're all here, and they're going to tell the tale coming up next on Professor of Rock. Hey, music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. If you remember playing Payday with your family or the other great games by Parker Brothers, you're going to dig this channel of deep musical nostalgia. Make sure to subscribe below right now. Click the bell. I know you'll find something to like on this channel. We got some great interviews and videos coming up. And also make sure to go to professorofrock.com and sign up there. Back when I started this channel, I used to have a program called 80s Hidden Gems. Do you guys remember that? Any early viewers remember that one? Well, today I'm returning to that in a way. I've got a special countdown for you today. I'm going to give you my top 5 songs from the 80s that deserve more love. I've said it before. We seem to hear the same 30 to 40 songs from the 80s on the radio and such. Take On Me by a-ha. Eye of the Tiger by Survivor. Africa by Toto. Living on a Prayer by Bon Jovi. You get the point. We love these songs. I love these songs, but maybe we need to take a little break and work these in because, man, these songs are overplayed, the ones I mentioned. Today, though, I'm going to give you 5 songs that are hidden gems of the neon decade, and they're definitely underplayed. They deserve some time in the spotlight, and I have the artists from each of these hits here to tell the story. Some real superstars here. Let's get the countdown started. My criteria here is that they had to be a hit in their day. Coming in at number 5, we've got an artist who just covered him about a month ago. He passed away a few years ago. I'm so grateful I got a chance to interview him. He's a hilarious guy. He's got so many great songs. Known best for his 1986 classic, Take Me Home Tonight. But we're going a different direction here. Eddie Money, I've got him here with the 1982 classic, Think I'm in Love, from his album No Control. Now, the song hit number 16 on the Hot 100, and it went all the way to number 1 on the rock charts. It's actually produced by the great Tom Dowd, who also produced Respect for Aretha Franklin and Layla, Derek and the Dominoes, and What Did I Say for Ray Charles? Tons of hits. Think I'm in Love, though, put Eddie back in the spotlight after a few years without a hit. And it had a killer music video. Here's what Eddie told me about it. Well, tell me about Think I'm in Love, which number 1 hit.
Right. Very big in Japan. It was bigger in Japan than it was here because it was written by a gentleman called Randy Oda.
Oh, yeah, who used to write with Tom Fogerty.
Yeah, Randy Oda wrote it, and we wrote that song together. And it was a big hit for him in Japan, but that song's still in the set. People love Think I'm in Love. It never went away.
Oh, yeah. It's been used in, Kevin James used it in Paul Blart.
Played a lot of commercials all over the place,
Well, the video. Vampire video, man.
Right, yeah, that was
I remember seeing that.
The kids
on
don't
MTV
get to see that much because that's my ex-wife. That's my first wife in that video, yeah. And if you notice, I was limping in that video because I was, my sciatic nerve was just healing. I was still a cripple. Lost that cape too. It really pissed somebody off because it was like a $2,000 cape. It was a real Dracula cape. I said, I don't know what happened to it,
Ooh, well, how did that song come together? Because it was just such a great melody. What came first?
You know what? I think Randy wrote a lot of the melody line. I just wrote a lot of lyric. The Mature's on it. But that's really Majata was probably Randy Otis too. He's a sweetheart of a guy too. I'm glad he made some money.
Now, coming into number 4, we got a man that was part of the biggest selling duo of the rock era. In the mid-'80s, he stepped away and had a top 5 hit as a solo artist. Talking about Daryl Hall with Dreamtime. After ruling the 80s with 18 hits, including 5 number ones with the duo, Daryl Hall and John Oates, Daryl released his second solo album, 3 Hearts and the Happy Ending Machine, with 2 top 40 hits on it, Foolish Pride and the very catchy Dreamtime. Here's what Daryl told me about the song. To me, one of the best songs of the 80s, and it actually was on one of my shows as Hidden Gems from the 80s, is Dreamtime. That was a huge top 5 hit. It was from 3 Hearts and the Happy Ending Machine. What inspired that? Because it's like new wave psychedelia. It's really a cool song.
Dave Stewart, I wrote that song. Dave came up with the chorus. He said, what can we do with this chord progression? And then I took it from there. And Dave is a great producer, and you know, he added all these things. And Michael Kamen, that was really the clincher. Dave's friend Michael. Actually, I had worked with Michael as well, and came in and did that amazing string arrangement over the song that just took it to the whole other place. I mean, I play that every night. That's one of my signature songs.
It's interesting because it doesn't sound like anything that you would ever put out with John. Completely different, and it's such a catchy song. You know, Dreamtime. It just was one of those songs that the first time I heard it, I'm like, that's a hit. It's just so different.
Well, it's because of Dave. You know, the way I write with Dave is a particular thing, and we do collaborate. When I get together with Dave, it's a real 50-50 kind of thing, and he brings something to the table, you know, literally, and it changes the direction of what I do, and we interact that way, and that's why it sounds different, because it's a Dave and Daryl song, you know, and that's very distinct.
Now, Daryl would release one more album with John Oates before the 80s ended. Oh Yeah, had 3 more hits for the duo, including the number 3 smash, Everything Your Heart Desires.
Everything your heart desires.
That gave the duo 21 hits in the 80s, most ever. That's including Madonna and Michael Jackson. All right, in at number 3, I have, by my count, the greatest female rock singer in history, with a sister who also is amazing. She wails on the guitar. Talking about the Wilson sisters in Heart with Even It Up. Now, Heart entered the 80s on fire after ruling the late 70s with classics like Barracuda. And Crazy on You. Magic Man. But an album and song that seems to fly under the radar despite its firepower is Baby Lestrange, and the song Even It Up. A Heart song with horns. What's not to love? Here's what Ann told me about the record.
Like, I think Baby Lestrange itself is great. I got to play the bass on a few songs, Even It Up and Baby Lestrange.
Love the horns on Even It Up.
Oh yeah, the Tower
so
Power
great.
horns, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a good day for me. Me getting to play the bass on Even It Up with Mike DeRocher playing drums and Tower Power horns. That was a good day for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I brought a bunch of, they were all big drinkers, and they said, we'll bring something down from your house for them to drink during the session, because they're greasy, but they get really greasy when they get a couple of wines in them.
Right.
So at that time, I had this big wine cellar, so I brought all this fine wine down for him. And they were like, they were used to twist off. But it worked, it worked. They're great guys.
On to our number 2 hidden gem of the countdown. I have one of the most prolific songwriters ever who recently passed away with little fanfare. Even though he co-wrote some of the biggest songs of the 70s and 80s, it's the late J.D. Souther with his beautiful number 1 hit, You're Only Lonely. Now, J.D. Souther, he co-wrote many Eagles classics. New Kid in Town.
The new kid in town.
Heartache Tonight.
Gonna be a heartache tonight. A heartache tonight.
Best of My Love.
I'll give you the best of my love.
James Dean.
Even if you had no cause, James Dean.
He also co-wrote one of my favorite songs ever, The Heart of the Matter, with Don Henley and Mike Campbell.
I've been trying to get down to the heart of the matter.
And he had a beautiful voice all his own.
When the world is ready to fall.
Now, technically, You're Only Lonely came out in 1979, but his biggest chart run was in 1980. Now, in this classic song, Souther, he hired Danny Korchmar to play guitar, David Sanborn for saxophone, and to help out with the harmony, he brought in a vocal supergroup. You had Phil Everly, the Everly Brothers, Jackson Browne, and 3 Eagles, Glenn Frey, Don Felder, and Don Henley. It was a huge number 1 hit in the adult contemporary charts. It spent 5 weeks at the top. And of course, Roy Orbison was the inspiration for the song. In fact, many people still think this is a Roy Orbison song. Several radio DJs back in the day said so over the air, and it caused a lot of confusion when some consumers asked for it at the record store, only to confuse the clerks there. Here's what J.D. Souther told me about the classic. Well, I got to ask you about You're Only Lonely. It's 1979. You released your solo single, You're Only Lonely. Really spotlight you as a lead vocalist, beautiful voice.
When you're feeling lonely and small.
Such a great song. Tell me about writing it and the inspiration.
There's not much to tell. It's a real short, simple little song. I wrote it in 1973. I just didn't think it was finished. And when we were working on the You're Only Lonely album, well, it was ultimately called that. It was called something else at first. It was going to be White Rhythm and Blues because that was the song we thought would be a single. And all I had were the 2 verses. There's no chorus. It's just a refrain line.
You're only lonely.
There's no bridge. And we'd been in the studio probably for a month, and Waddy said, we need something that sounds like a single. Don't you have anything kind of up-tempo? And I said, no, not really. He said, you must write something fast now and then. I said, well, I wrote this. I could play this a little faster. I wrote this song in Colorado when I had SHF band, but it's not finished. It doesn't have a bridge, and it doesn't have a chorus, and it doesn't even have a 3rd verse. So Waddy's, play it. And so I played it, and he just went, dummy, sing the first verse again.
When the world is ready to fall.
And then we cut it. I think before the night was over, we felt like it was going to be a radio record. It just had that feel. We started playing it, and just had those ice cream chords, and everybody was playing great.
It's no crime. Darling, we got lots of
And the song just seemed really touching. The girls that were there were all, oh, so good. It was like, oh, yeah, I think we got something here.
Well, it was number 7 hit on the pop charts, but number 1 for 5 straight weeks on the AC charts.
Yeah, it was in the top 10 on the rock charts the same week that Heartache Tonight was.
2 hits, 2 of the top 10 hits.
2 hits at once, and I got to work them at the same time. We actually had a strategy. I don't know who was doing the West Coast, but a guy named Michael Kleffner that used to work for Irving years ago, and I took both singles to all the DJs on the East Coast. We just drove up the East Coast and hit all the big stations, and they started playing both singles. So They were kind of like this because the Eagles rose faster than mine, but we ended up being in the top 10 the same week. It's pretty cool.
All right, here we are at the top of the summit, and this is going to take you back. It's a song from a guy that they call the man with a golden voice. He's one of my personal favorite singers ever. He's actually the only man in history to have a top 10 hit, 4 different bands or iterations. There was How Long with Ace. Tempted with Squeeze. Several with Mike and the Mechanics, including the #1 hit, The Living Years. And then this one as a solo artist. At #1, I have Don't Shed a Tear by Paul Carrack. This is such a great song. Now, the lyric of Don't Shed a Tear, that was written by Eddie Schwartz. It's actually the same guy who wrote Hit Me With Your Best Shot for Pat Benatar, a song that Pat won't sing anymore. The music was written, though, by Rob Friedman. Eddie wrote the lyric in about 10 minutes in the studio after hearing the music, and he and his band recorded a demo of it and sent it out to record companies. Now, Tommy Mottola loved the song, and he wanted to sign Eddie and his band. But Rob Friedman, who wrote the music, hated the lyrics. And then he felt like he'd been forgotten in the process of making the demo. Now, in the end, the band ended up not getting signed, and the song actually fell into the hands of Paul Carrack, the capable hands of Paul Carrack. He made it a smash with a killer vocal. You have to hear the extended version. It will just lay out how he goes crazy at the end. A heart-wrenching song. So here's what Paul told me about the song. Your voice had so much relevance in the rock era. It made sense for you to make a solo record. And of course, you had more before this, but one good reason was such a great album. Don't Shed a Tear, lead single. That was a multi-format smash.
It came via Chris Neal. On the strength of the Mike and Mechanics, I managed to get a recording contract as a solo artist in between doing the Mike and the Mechanics. And one of the provisos was that Chris would produce it, which was fine by me because, you know, he's a fun guy. He's a great guy to work with. He brought in a couple of songs from outside, and one of them was this song, Don't Shed a Tear. And I wasn't sure if that was too rock and roll for me. You know, that was my one and only top 10 hit in the States. I believe it got to #9.
It's such a catchy song, and you may not have written the song, but you own that song, man. It's so compelling. I love your vocal on it, and I hate the radio edit because I love how you just...
At the end.
You're delivering these lines kind of cool and collected, you know, cab fare to nowhere, a white line to an exit sign, locked door in a candy store. I mean, it's imagery. You're saying, I'm over you. And it's like method acting the way you approach it. You're acting like it's no big deal. And it's believable until you get to the end of the song and you're just trying to cover up your devastation. You're married and had a happy marriage. So I'm thinking as a vocalist, how are you able to convey this so well? You're a method actor. You're putting yourself in some kind of a position here, is what I think.
I'll be honest with you. I'm fascinated by the way you hear these songs and how the lyrics affect you. I don't think I'm always thinking about what it's about. I get the mood and I get the vibe of what it's about, and the rest is just an interpretation.
You know, you can't fake some of that kind of stuff. I mean, what you're saying at the end with the crocodile tears, and you're really, I mean, you're really emoting there. But it's cool because the way that you're singing it, you're trying to cover it up,
So it's like halfway calm, cool, and collected because of the way you sang the first part of the song, but then you're just kind of letting it out like you're totally devastated that this girl, you know? And that, I think that's why it does resonate with people, because, you know, we've all been there where we're like, oh, I'm fine, I'm over you. But then you're just on the inside, you're dying, you know? And that's why pop music works so well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there you have it. 5 picks for great 80s hidden gems that you got to add to your playlist, your listening experience. What do you think? What are your picks? What are your memories of these songs? You remember them? Let's have a great discussion about these artists and these songs. Make sure to subscribe if you want to be part of our community, to be a part of music history right here on Professor of Rock. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.